welcome Mike Stone, Security Hub Podcast, the Assistant Director of Development of Operation Healing Forces. Thank you for being here today, brother.
Hey, my pleasure.
We got to shoot fast and move through this. I know you're a busy man, but man, thank you so much for being here. Operation Healing Forces is doing amazing work for our SOF veterans. I benefited from you guys, helped me out, getting my word out there so I can help advocate for those that need it most, which oddly enough is the guys within our community because we're the quiet professionals. So Mike, thank you for being here today. Let's kick it off, man, because one thing that I found out, a lot of the individuals working in these nonprofits, they're members of our community as well. These are guys and gals that left service and said, you know what? I belong in the nonprofit space. I'm passionate about this. So let's begin with your journey, man. How did you get into the nonprofit space?
So yeah, thank you for the question, man. And it's good to hear that you're a fellow alumni of the OHF as well, because that's what brought me to the organization. Kind of like you, I'd gone my whole career. I've been in special operations. Let's see, I think 13 years at that point. And I got this email that said, "Hey, you have this opportunity to go to a retreat." I'm like, "A what? Like, are you fishing me? Like, is this a scam?" And no, I looked into it and I'm like, "Wow, this sounds pretty amazing." And I had never benefited from anything from that before. So I was like, you know what? I was at a point in my career where, stress was high. I think I was just recovering from a surgery off of an injury about 6 months previously. So I was kind of struggling with my own personal demons. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this will be a good time to do this. And so I took my girlfriend then, who's now my fiance. So this tells you how well the program works.
Nice.
We were able to go on this retreat up to Greenbrier with Billy. And I was like, wow, just summarily impressed. The couples that we were there with, all special operations people, all struggling with the same things, all kind of different phases of our career. Like I was arguably at the sunset of mine, and there was a couple of young kids that are just starting out, and then a couple mid-grade. So kind of a nice cross section of our special operations community of people in different phases and different expectations. And so it was a great experience. It was wonderful for me and Kathy. Had a great time together. It brought us a lot closer together, and we still laugh about things that happened during that week because it was just a fun time to focus on yourselves, right? And that's kind of what one of the things we focus on here at OHF is giving our operators that chance to connect with their families, because we're so busy doing that we forget, this is the most important thing of our lives, right? That Army is a great thing, but it's also a temporary thing. And you have to focus on what's the most important, and that's your family. And so you need to invest in that. You need to spend time on that. And OHF provides that opportunity. I retired and I was kind of looking around trying to figure out what I wanted to do and going through a couple different transition programs. The one constant that I settled on was whatever I did in my post-military life, it would have to have some element of service, right? I have to provide some value back to the community, not just making money, right? I'm not about making dollars. Clearly, I joined the Army, right? So becoming rich was never in my cards. So that was the kind of the constant theme throughout my job search. And then luckily enough, I'd seen a posting from OHF at the end of the year last year, but I'd missed the application window. And so I was like, damn. And so I emailed the CEO. And I was like, hey, look, I know it's closed, but let me know the next time you're looking, because I'm interested, very interested, and I want to be part of the team. And so sure enough, fast forward a few months later, and they opened up a position, and I came in and interviewed. The CEO, thankfully, was impressed enough, and she gave me a chance. And now I've been on the job for about 6 weeks.
Nice.
I'm learning as we go. But I have the benefit of being through it, just like you, right? So I kind of know the program from the receiving end, and now I'm kind of learning about it on the operating side. So that's what kind of got me here, but it's been a good trip so far.
Yeah. And I want to pause and kind of revisit what you just mentioned. You saw an opportunity and you just made that connection. And that is something that throughout this entire, little experience of reaching out, talking about transition with guys, we are so hesitant to do. We're really hesitant to get on LinkedIn to see the opportunities. And maybe the job posting seems a little ambiguous. It doesn't specifically say 18 Delta or 18 Echo or 18 Zulu. So we look at the ambiguity of the job. We don't even look at the description. It doesn't, and we see all the things that we do. It blows my mind. Senior leaders as well, sergeant majors, guys that have operational experience. Maybe they have to already taking that program director course. They've gone through and gotten a couple certifications, but they still tell themselves, hey, that's not for me. How did you break that barrier? How do you tell that critic to shut up and just say, you know what? I'm going to talk to these people.
Yeah, no, that's a key point, Danny. It's something I learned again through practice and experience in transition. And it's something I do the same thing. I tell everybody who's doing it next is like, look, you got to get past your own inner voice, and you're going to do stuff that's going to make you uncomfortable. But guess what? That's what we've trained for our whole career, right?
Yeah.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. But I think we're used to our level of uncomfortable. I can be
Yep.
physically uncomfortable. I can be under mental duress. I can do these things, right? That's what I'm used to. Well, now this is just a new level of discomfort. So you're going to have to, and I'd say to your point, the most critical thing you can do is make those connections, because LinkedIn isn't going to get it for you. Like LinkedIn applications, useless. Like don't
Yeah.
ever use apply, right? Don't ever do that. Like use LinkedIn for what it is. And it's a great social research tool. So if there's a company you care about or something you're interested in, go to that company, find the people that work there, and then reach out to those guys. And people are very receptive, shockingly receptive to that. They'll meet you for a Zoom. If you're in town with them, they'll meet you for a cup of coffee. And that's what you need to do, is just start talking to people, because then you'll learn about the job, you'll learn about the culture, and whether or not you really want to go there, because that's critical. If it's not a
Yeah.
good culture fit, you're just going to be unhappy and it's not going to work out. So it is a lot of what we do routinely, operationally, when you think about developing that human terrain model, building a network. It's the things that we do inherently military, but then adapting those to the civilian side. And it's critical. I mean, that's going to be the key to get it to finding what you like, and not just finding a job, but finding something you really enjoy doing.
Yeah. And I have to apologize because we're going to be jumping back and forth from lived experience to what the program offers,
All
and,
good.
and now just ping ponging it back. Operation Healing Force is a little different. What would you say are some of the core things that you try to provide for the community as far as assets and resources?
Well, I'll tell you the two big things that I was impressed by with OHF. One as a participant, now on the program side, is we cover the whole family, right? It's not just
Yep.
about service members. There's so many nonprofits out there that are aimed at the Joe. You're like, good,
Yes.
but Joe comes with a train.
Yep.
Joe's got people there with him. So let's talk to the whole people. OHF smartly designed their program for that from the get go. So in their mandate, in our charter, that's what we care about: forces and families. And so that comprehensive core of what makes our guys the best guys possible is that family. So we are able to help family members out. So we do it, to your point, deliberately through these therapeutic couples retreats, right? So we bring couples, but then also caregivers away from the headaches, the heartaches, the hassles, everything that's slowing you down and keeping you from being the best couple possible. And we'll take you away for 5 days and let you remember, oh, yeah, that's why we fell in love. I remember that. Okay, that's why we're a great couple. Oh, yeah, I got you now. So I remember. But then at the same time, we also have immediate needs. So for people who have financial requirements that the DoD can't meet, inside of 24 hours, we can find the resolution. It's either us or somebody we know. So it's travel costs, it's medical devices costs, it's
Oh, wow.
unfortunately sometimes funeral expenses.
Hmm.
We are able to cover things that DoD can't. And so annually we do about $1 million, and probably on the order of almost 2,000 people we help every year to get through just unexpected crises.
That is awesome. That is some insane reach. And you guys are represented all across the spectrum of soft, correct?
Absolutely. That's the other benefit. And to your point about, soft veterans in the team here, we've got 12 people on the ground here in Tampa, and 10 of us are all from the Joint Soft community. So we've got every branch represented. I'm sure at some point we'll have a Space Force guy, but we don't have one of those yet. But we've got
Soon to
everybody
come.
else. We got everybody else here on the ground. And so it's, we all, like you said, we've all been through it. We understand implicitly what the people are dealing with, and we're just here to help out. So yeah, it's definitely every community. And that's another discriminator. I'm glad you brought it up. Was we're not constrained to any service. So we're joint. We help people
Nice.
jointly, and we care about everybody. Just within, all you got to be is within that SOCOM umbrella. So
Yeah. Which is, it's huge. One thing that I didn't realize until on the backside of my recovery and my journey is I was so hesitant to Google, to look for resources, to look for help, to look for anybody that could help me through what I was going. And there's a lot of shame and guilt that, like, God, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to ask for help. But these programs are out there and they're for us to take advantage of and be able to utilize. So if you're sitting at home, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with something, there's no shame, there's no guilt. We are human. We're meant to break. The soft imperative is humans are more important than hardware, and that's the truth. And that especially applies to you if you're hurting, if you're going through something. You have to be willing to reach out and ask for help. And to go right back to your lived experience, when you were going through that and you get that first email, what were some of the things that were going through your mind? Like, do I really deserve this?
Precisely right, man. And that's the thing we hear most often with our guys that go through the program, because that's what we've been trained to do, right?
Yep.
We've been trained to suck it up and drive on, and that's what we do. And there's just a limit, and we know the limit physiologically. There's a cost to sustained stress over time. We know that. There's a
Yep.
cost to TBIs. There's a cost to low level blast exposures, and we know this bill does not go down. It continues to
Yep.
accrue, and at some point it will reach a tipping point, and you have to do something about it. So our goal is to get left of that crisis, right? Help you before that becomes an issue. And this is, thankfully, my last job in SOCOM was the director of the Preservation of the Forces and Family Program.
Oh, no
And this
way.
is, yes. And so that was core to our mission set, right?
Yeah.
And what we had to attack routinely is what you're talking about, this help seeking stigma that,
Yep.
oh man, if I raise my hand, then I'm going to get singled out. People are going to think less of me. They're going to, I'm going to come off the team. I won't be able to deploy. And it's like, no, that's not the point. The point is, we know we ask a lot. That's what special operations is all about. I'm going to ask the most of you that I can get. And because of that, I need you to be at your peak. And to
Yep.
get you there, sometimes you need a little bit of a tune up, right? Whether it's physiological, mental, emotional, whatever, you need to get help. The greatness of SOCOM is we have, programs like POTIF for active duty guys, but then there's also this excellent constellation of nonprofits that just want to just help special operations people because they get it. Like, we've been asked to do a lot, and we keep getting asked to do a lot. The war on terror ends, and our deployment cycle doesn't quit. It stays the same because
Yep.
now we're just going new places and doing new things. So that's the challenge we face: is how do you balance the operational requirements to the future requirements on our people? Because we want you to come in healthy, we want to build you up to your peak performance, and we want to sustain you at that level of peak performance. And to keep you there, you've got to recognize when there's just something going wrong. It's just like your car, man. I may have the most highest performing sweet sports car on the planet, but if something's wrong and they don't change the oil or something goes awry, all I do is take it in for a quick fix and that car is back to being perfect. Otherwise, if I don't, well, now that oil system starts to corrupt the engine and starts to corrupt the transmission, and now it's just the bill gets higher and higher. So now
Yep.
it takes longer and longer to get that car back on the road. So I think for our guys, it's being humble and honest with yourself and going, yeah, you know what? I know I am not where I need to be, right?
Yep.
I can fake it till I make it to a certain point, but in the operational environments we find ourselves in, we can't have that delta of
So true.
uncertainty. We've got to be able to execute it the best we can. And so take a step back and go, you know what? Let me get some quick help right quick. Let me take a week or two. Let me see some specialists, and everything will be better. And it's amazing to see. And that's kind of one of the things we see uniformly with the OHF programs. We have a lot of qualitative feedback from all of our participants, and they will talk about that very thing. It's like, yeah, I was uncertain about getting help because I didn't know how this was going to play out. I'm going to meet 3 other couples in some new place, and I don't know anybody. This is kind of strange, and yet within minutes of arriving, you go, man, y'all are just like me. And the goodness is I can actually run my mouth here, and it's not going to go back to my team or my unit or my
Yes.
boss. And so I can actually share my challenges and talk about things. And it gives you the opportunity, the freedom to speak on your issues without being judged about it, without being, penalized for it. And so it helps to really attack some of that stigma, but it does, to your point, take that first step. I have to recognize I need some help. And then if you do that, I swear to God, you'll have so many people coming out of the woodwork to help you. You're going to be
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, wait, that's enough help. Thanks.
No, you're 100% right on that. It's you have to have the vulnerability and understanding the vulnerability is a strength,
Hmm.
and then have the understanding that you have to be an active and willing participant in your recovery. You don't have to think of it as the end of your career. And for many of our guys that are struggling with things, it's not the end. It doesn't have to be the end. You can overcome these things. You can learn how to deal with things and truly start thriving again. We have this idea that's been perpetuated by our culture and a lot of treatment centers and different individuals where you've been diagnosed and now they want you to identify as that thing. That's it. You are never going to go back to being normal. And
Mm.
that couldn't be further from the truth. There's so many things that have already made you a 1% of the 1% of the population. Lean on that. Be able to look and say, I'm not like normal people. I've been through hard things and I can continue to go through hard things. I just need the tools and understanding from the concepts of how to get better. And when guys finally realize that, it's like, oh, okay, like I don't have to be scared of a diagnosis because the greatest thing, one of the biggest things that I hear all the time is like, I don't want to be diagnosed with PTSD. It's like, well, if you don't get help, you'll never know if you even have it. You never know if it's just like, oh no, You're dealing with normal everyday anxiety. This can be treated. You might not even need medication. You might just need
Mhm.
some coping skills, some exercises, and then you're free to move on back to your career. And that's one of the biggest stigmas that we have to kill, is the idea that your career ends if you get help.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And I think the goodness is there, and I, I'm happy to report, like the current SOCOM commander, General Fenton, this is
Yep.
very much at the top of his list. He makes no bones about it. The number one priority for the command is people,
Yep.
and he's got it up there, and because of the first off truth. And from the day he took the chair, that's what we've been working on. And it's to your point, it's try to make sure that people understand, there is no, like, this isn't a career stopper, it's a career
Yep.
enhancer. Because I know I'm comfortable now. If I'm your commander and I get you the help you need, and I see you come back and now you're back to the 110% you were before, that's
Yep.
awesome. Like, that goes, oh man, that's reinforcing. I know that now I have full faith and confidence in you, and there's no risks, no concerns, no question marks. But yeah, it is challenging, because you're right. There is a lot of, public dialogue, public debate, public opinions about, I got slapped this label on me now. That's it. I'm
Yep.
now disabled or handicapped or something like
Yeah.
that. No, I'm still the same dude. I woke up yesterday, same way
Yeah.
today. Sure, I got some challenges, but to your point, I think the goal is to give us techniques, right? Because
Yes.
we didn't grow up. I didn't come up out of the womb and like, oh, I'm really good at land nav. No, I actually
Yep.
learned those skills. Like, I had to get taught. This is a compass. This is a map. This is a train map, and this is how I do that. So, to your point, that's what you need is realize you're facing a new situation, a new operating environment, and you got to be able to decode that and understand what the requirement is. And the tools to do that can be taught and can be learned and then can be applied. And then you're like, cool, I got it. I'm the same guy I was before. I've just got a deeper tool set. Now I draw on some new things.
Yeah. And it's important to understand that this isn't just an issue that's affecting our younger guys. This is something that's affecting everybody across the force. Anybody can be susceptible to this. And it can be as simple as dealing with burnout, dealing with actual physical injuries that you just never get help for. And then finally they take their toll on you.
Hmm.
And guys are just now starting to read into the operator syndrome study
Yeah,
and the book. And
yeah.
a lot of people are maybe hesitant to read it because they don't want to see the truth. And from your experience, what are some things that you would share to the younger self that is, hitting that midpoint in their career?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. And this is, something, General Fenton asked me too, right? But as I was transitioning, he's like, take notes. Like, I want to hear about this. I want to hear how it goes. And I told him,
Nice.
like, the wonderfulness about SOCOM is we've got great resources nearby. The VA program here is top notch. James Haley is one of the best in the country. It's a center of excellence for TBI and
Yep.
PTSD. So it's really a great facility. And, I
And that's
told
that's the prep facility, right?
it is exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah, the prep program, right?
Yep.
So I told him, I was like, the only problem with that is it's like we shouldn't wait till year 18 and 19. Like, that
Yes.
needs to be a year 8, a year 12, a year 18 kind of thing. I was like, if we do it at scheduled intervals, we could probably bring dudes in there for 7 to 10 days instead of 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
And then you just get their stuff done, en route versus waiting till the very end. And it's the same analogy as the car I was telling you about, right? If I wait, I drove the
Yeah.
car with low oil pressure and a bad radiator and crappy transmission fluid and shitty brakes. Well, guess what? That repair bill at the end is going to not just be higher, but take longer. And
Yep.
that's kind of what we're facing. And so I told him, I was like, sir, if you're going to change stuff, we need to really look at doing some more of these scheduled intervals with our guys at a much earlier phase, so we can, one, just baseline and understand where are you at. So when
Yep.
I see you in 4 or 5 years, I can take another measurement and I can compare. Are you on par? Are you been cool? Are you getting better? Or have you declined in some way? And then fix that and bring you back to at least baseline, right? So that would be the goal. And to your point, I think for me personally, right, especially as a leader, the last thing you ever want to do is take a knee, right? And
Yes.
it's one of those things, do as I say,
Guilty.
not as I do, right? I would tell
Yeah.
my guys all the time, I'm like, first rule is you have to take care of you, right? Because you can't
Yeah.
be a leader if you can't marshal your own strengths, your own focuses, your own ability to lead people because you're suffering, right? So I would
Yep.
tell my guys that, but I was not the best at taking my own advice. And so consequently, fast forward to the end of prep, 26 years in the Army, I finally go to this prep program and, I get enrolled in the PTSD program. And I'm like, all right. So, and I get paired up with my psych, and I'm like, hey, don't take this the wrong way. I was like, but you're probably going to be wildly successful with me because I've never done anything. Because this is like her first real case. She
Yeah.
had just come out of school, so she was just brand new in the field. I was like, don't use me as a benchmark. I was like, because I have done nothing. at all.
Yeah.
No therapy, no treatment, nothing. I was like, so anything we do is probably going to be massively successful. And it was. And I told her this. I shared with, I mean, the treatment programs for things like PTSD are so now standardized
Yep.
and so easy to follow and so easy to do that if you put the work in, to your point, if you invest yourself into that, you're going to get some payback
Yeah.
in a good way, like in a really good way. And it's just, and you're doing these drills and you're like, God, this seems really simple. Like,
Yep.
seriously, like, I just got to reframe how I'm thinking about this. That's, I don't know. That's kind of, and then sure as shit, I felt better. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. Like, I mean, I felt a lot better. So from day one to the finish of treatment, I mean, I think I could judge the difference,
Yeah.
and people around me could judge the difference. So I was like, all right, well, I was like, I'm biased, I got me, but the rest of you telling me this tells me that, yeah, it actually is helpful
Yeah.
because
And I want to ask you, and if you're willing to share, what were some of the things towards the end of your career that maybe started popping up that you finally started getting more awareness around? Like for
mm,
me, it was a complete breakdown, and I never dealt with anything like anxiety or depression. I never understood what was really going on. I never really understood why I was having these moments of like, oh fuck, I feel like my heart's beating out of my friggin' chest. What were some of the things that were unique to your experience towards the end?
yeah, no, that's a great question, man. And it's funny because, like, I spent some time as a pilot before I crossed back over to special operations. And in the aviation community, there's a lot of conversations about acute and chronic stress, right? Because
Yep.
they recognize it's a tough job, right? You're doing high risk shit all the time, so sometimes that kind of accrues. So you need to pay attention because acute stress is good because it keeps you sharp, it focuses your
Yep.
attention, and then you come out of it, right? But a chronic stress is not so good because
Yes.
chronic stress continues to add up and get worse, and you start to have these little trickle out effects, whether it be your mood, your memory, your physical conditions, and things like that. So yeah, so I had just gotten to SOCOM. It's going to be the end of my career tour. I was kind of chilling. I took a job in the chief of staff's office, which is super easy, like
Super
low
easy.
stress, low stress, like banker's hours. Right? We weren't doing hardly anything, and so I think that was one of the factors that started to add into my load, into the things that I was
Yep.
carrying on my rucksack, because it was a lot of hard work, a lot of like just near every day was a fire drill, trying to
Yep.
figure out where's the fire, how do I put it out, who's involved, and every day was like that. And it was just a series of Groundhog Days, and it was
Yep.
amazing. I mean, it's great to be part of that, that small circle of conversations, decision makers, and action within SOCOM. But it's also hard on the people because it is like every single day you're doing the
Yep.
same things. And then at the same time, I got hit by a car, and
Oh
so
shit.
I was riding
Wait
my
a
bike to go.
second.
I know, right?
Mike.
I know. It's hilarious. You should, and we'll talk about it
Low
here in a second.
stress, no issues at all, but I got
Yeah,
hit by a car.
yeah, yeah. And then after that, so like you got the whole mental element of the job, and
Yeah.
then coupled with the physical piece of, yeah, I just got mashed by a car. So that was, to your point. Once you get injured, right? We don't deal
Yep.
well being injured, right? I tragically am not a good patient. Hate being injured, and so that was just kind of contributing. So that was just yet another ruck that got chunked in the rucksack.
Yep.
And so when I was recovering, and even better, and that was during the change of command, which I was running. So I got hit. Let's say I got hit. Let's see, 6 weeks before the change of command, I got hit. And so I'm doing the change of command. I'm the lead guy for that thing. I get hit by a car. So I'm back at work like 2 weeks later after I got hit, trying to resolve all the crises, get the change of command done, and all that. And so yeah, I think it was just too much. Right at the end of that, I was
100%.
just like, "Oof, I'm hurting hard," and it just started to show up. In to your point, like how did I see it? Really, it was more about my attitude. I started just to get really, really negative, really
Yep.
irritable. I would go from zero to pissed off in like less than a nanosecond. And
Yep.
it was like, and that's not me. Like throughout my entire life, my whole career, I've been like Johnny Steady. Like it takes a lot to push me off that equilibrium. And I was not there anymore. I
Yep.
was, I was the smallest, stupidest, littlest things would just send me right off the edge. And I was like, man, this is not right. Like, I don't like, this is not how I operate. And then the other key element was silver lining. I've always been a silver lining guy, right?
Yeah.
You can be in the deepest suck that you can imagine and go, well, it could be worse. I could be on
Yeah.
fire. Like
Yeah.
there's always something worse. You could always find some way to go, yes, this was really, really bad, but there is a lower and it's okay. We can kind of look up, not down. Well, all I was doing was looking down, right? Everything was pessimistic. It was all negative. I mean, it was like, man, this is just not me. And so prior to going to prep, I had actually talked to your point about operator syndrome and how people get resolutions. So I learned about stellate ganglion blocks. And I
Yes.
was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting thing. I said, because you're telling me everything you're saying is everything I'm seeing. Like this is everything I've got because my sympathetic and my parasympathetic nervous systems, they were not coordinating. I
Yep.
was like 100% engaged all the time and never getting a break. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And sure enough, I was able to work it out. I went to San Antonio. I got it done by one of the guys who does it there routinely at the Center for the Intrepid. And
Yeah.
uh, it was night and day. The difference was
Right.
incredible. Like I mean, I could not believe it. I came out of that, and I remember walking around the Riverwalk in San Antonio like 4 hours after the procedure, and I'm just like, whew, I feel good. Like
Yeah.
I feel really good. Like I'm smiling. I'm happy. I call my girlfriend, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's
Who
like,
are you?
"You sound really happy." I'm like that's one. I'm sad that you had to say that to me, but two, I'm really excited that you noticed because I'm really happy right now. Like I feel amazing,
Yeah.
and it was literally that quick because what it does is just it shuts down that active stress engaged portion of your nervous system and goes, nope, let's have a chance to take a break. And it was completely refreshing. And so for guys who are interested in it, or I'm only hoping the DoD adopts it more widely,
Yeah.
because the challenge they have is they don't know the efficacy. They can't judge how long it's going to last, and it's different for everybody.
It
Some
is.
guys are once a month, some guys are 3 months. I was like right around 4 or 5 months I began to feel some of that old bad behavior creeping back in.
Yeah.
So for me it was about 120 days was about my efficacy. But then I was able to go into that PTSD thing, and so that gave me other tools to fix the problems. Yes,
Absolutely.
the block got me through that crisis, and then the PTSD treatment stuff got me through later. And so, yeah, it was. I mean, it was amazing, a great experience for me.
Yeah, and I want to jump in on that. I'm a big advocate for it. I was fortunate enough here at the Trepid Center at Eglin. That's another treatment that was
Yes.
brought to me. And a lot of times people think that we can just use magic wands. It's like, no, I want to reiterate, like I always do when I talk about this, is it's a crucial part of your treatment when you're going through therapy and when you're
Mhm.
talking with someone, because I noticed immediately once I started getting the stellate ganglion blocks, I was able to finally tap into things that I didn't really want to talk about and finally get over some of those hurdles and just be like, you know what? I don't want to continue the same life, the same pattern. And it's the same thing of like, I like the way I'm living when I feel like this, when I'm down regulated. And it's not about it. And people think, oh, I just keep getting these shots. No, no. You have to do the work and you work through it. And then you finally get to that point where you're down regulated. It's like,
Mhm.
holy shit. And
Yeah.
it's night and day. And
Yeah.
and when people see you after the treatment, especially after you're going through treatment, you're going through therapy, what was it like to come back to work and have people be like, whoa, whoa, this isn't Mike?
It was. It absolutely was. Yeah, that first instance, like I said, on the phone with my girlfriend, she could just tell, and just like in I mean minutes within the conversation, she was like, "Wow, you sound a little different. Like you sound really happy." I'm like, "Yes, I know." I like, and I noticed that too because, like I said earlier, like comedy has always been my release, right? Sarcasm is my safety valve,
Yes.
and so I've always used that throughout my career, and I wasn't using that anymore. I wasn't able to. I couldn't tap into it. So yeah, that was definitely a part of it. And then other people, at work were like, they just night and day. Like I think I could tell because usually I was really good. I'd still been really good. I never hurt. Like I wasn't toxic. I didn't
Yeah.
take it out on people. I always internalized all the rage that I was feeling, which isn't great. Which is not
That's
good at
part of
all.
being at staff. That's
Yeah, exactly right. Right. Just all came back in here. But so they didn't see that outwardly, but they just said that, to your point, they just noticed that, yeah, it was like you seemed like a lot more at ease, a lot more, happy, just a lot more, you know, yeah, just a lot more friendly and outgoing. It's like, wow, yeah, like that's kind of where I want to be. Like
yeah.
that's why I think of myself as the ideal Mike, right? That's what I think of. It's like I want to be outgoing. I want to be approachable. I want people to want to talk to me, not like, oh God, here comes that guy again.
Yeah.
Too quick, look busy. So I was happy to see that, and it was to your point about accepting help and looking for help. It was eye opening for me to see that difference. To go, oh yes, like I had forgotten what good looked like. I'd been so
Yeah.
long not good. I forgot what it even looked like, and all of a sudden I was like, "This is good. I like this. Like I like this good. This is really good. I want to stay here." And
Yeah.
so, to your point, right, it helps you motivate to do other things, right? Because it's not a cure all. It just gives you that physiological timeout. Hey, cease and desist, biological actions, right? Because that's
Yep.
what it's going to do. That's what your body's wired for, and gives you a chance to re-engage that executive piece of your brain and go, okay, let's think about this problem. Let's look at what's driving this. Let's figure out what the solution is, that you're not able to tap into when you're just constantly aroused and just not able to get out of it.
Yep.
So
What were some other modalities that you leaned on that you learned at prep or throughout your transition that really help you maintain that healthy mind state? Because that's one of the biggest things that we kind of struggle with, that identity, that purpose and mission. And if we don't lean on resources that we picked up along the way as we were healing, everything can kind of go haywire.
no, you're right, 100%. I think one of the words you hit on there that really strikes a chord is that identity piece. I see a lot of people that overinvest in their
Yeah.
military identity. And I get it. I mean, I understand why you make that decision and why and it's a great part of our lives, right? The decision to serve is one that only a few people make. And the decision to serve to the level that we do in DoD is even fewer, right? We're talking that whole 1% of the 1%
Yep.
piece, right? That's where you are because you wrote that check to Uncle Sam, said, hey, up to and including the cost of my life, I'm ready to do this thing. And so living with that, I think it's an important and it's a critical balance to achieve in your life. And I think I was lucky in that regard. I love the Army. I love my time in the Army. I love the people I serve with. But I was always reminded of the Army song, right? The Army will go rolling along,
Yep.
right? And I knew that throughout my whole career. And so reminding myself of that, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I love it. I love what I'm doing. I'm 100% in while I'm here. But I also knew that when I left the office, I wanted to leave the office and then remember to
Yep.
spend time with my family and do the things that also would be with me forever. So I could have my kids still love me and know who I was by the time I got out of the Army.
Yeah.
So I think that's a critical element that I had learned that early on, and it served me well because I do see other people in the career field, and my career field, and other career fields, especially officers, are like, yeah, if I don't make 1 star, that's it. I'm just a
Yeah.
failure. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm just happy that I'm still in the Army, right? Like, I mean, you can't hang your hopes on some artificial outcome that you have no control over. So instead, just do the best at wherever you're at. But also remember that it's just a job, right? It's
Yeah.
not you, right? You are your person. The things you do reflect on you, absolutely. But that's not you, right? Your rank, your position, your career, that's not you. You is the people you surround yourself with, your family, your friends, and then how you are in your heart, right? That's what's most
Yep.
important. And so that was helpful. And then, like I said, the tools about, the physiological intervention was great. Going through like the cognitive therapy, through the psych channels is great because, I was as skeptical as everybody else. Like, yeah, whatever. What are we gonna, kumbaya? We're gonna burn some incense. Like, come on. But no, it was really, really factual. But to your point, and this is a realization I came to ages ago when I was a younger person. People with a problem can only enjoy the solution when they acknowledge the problem, right? So
Yes.
if somebody's suffering and you want to help them, yes, you should absolutely let them know, I'm here to help you. I'm here to provide you whatever you need. But that person also has to go, yeah, I have a problem. I acknowledge this
Yep.
problem and I want to get help. And if you don't do that piece, I don't care what you do. Like you can slap all the band-aids you want on it, but you are not solving the problem. So that's the critical step that people have to be mindful of is be honest, right? Ask the people you love, hey, are things cool? Like, am I okay? Like, is there
Yep.
something wrong? And don't be afraid to ask that question because sure, your your significant other might give you a ration of shit, but they're also going to tell you the truth and say, yeah, I've noticed you've been a little bit irritable, or you've been moody, or you've been depressed, or you've been whatever. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I do notice that too. And as soon as you cross that corner, then you're on the right path because now you're
Yep.
like, cool. I acknowledge there's something in my operating environment I need to address. I'm going to address it using these things, and therefore we'll get to a solution, right? So
Yep.
I think that's the process you gotta acknowledge is just be honest. Like take the assessment, assess yourself, and recognize conditions change, and it's just for me it was just a lot of things in a really small span of time that I just wasn't able to get relief from any of them. And
Yep.
so it was all just bam, they're all here all together all at once. Like we're gonna have a really crappy party in your head. and, and so it's like that's not cool. I couldn't even get away from my own party. So that's the thing that people got to be mindful of is just be willing to accept that I need to get a tune up, right? Let me go, let
Yep.
me go, let me go take my car to the shop because I wouldn't do that with my car. It makes a funny noise. I'd be like, whatever, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
And we got to get more comfortable in the team room, being able to talk amongst teammates and warriors.
Hmm.
It's some of us don't have family at home. We don't have the wife, we don't have fiance, but you still have an intimate group of individuals that you work with day and night, and you put yourself or are willing to put yourself in danger and put your life on the line for each other.
Yeah.
So if you see your friends struggling, if you see your friends changing in their mood and things affect them, or they're drinking more, or you see them do and engage in risky behavior that's not in the realm of your job, okay, they're engaging in those, maybe they're drinking and driving, maybe they're doing things that they're not supposed to, be willing to say, yo, stop. What is going on at home? What is going on in your private life? Why do you always have to go out to drink to feel good? Like, what's
Hmm.
going on? We talk about being war fighters and being willing to take the fight to the enemy. Well, sometimes the enemy comes in the form of mental health issues. Sometimes the enemy comes in the form of lingering health issues that they're not going, because I've been there. I didn't want to
Hmm.
go to the doctors because I didn't want to come off a team. And
Yeah.
before that, as a young kid on a free fall team, I didn't want to go see a doctor because I don't want to come off free fall status.
Yep.
But guess what? If you identify that there's something wrong, or you just bring your friends in close and be like, hey man, like, dude, no judgment. If you got to go to P3, if you've got to go to Thor 3 and get something for that shoulder, get something for that knee, bro, take
Hmm.
the time. Take, no one's going to freaking kick you off the team to get better.
Yeah.
That way you can come back and you can participate. And those are the individuals that we're losing. We're losing great individuals because they're not taking the time to take a knee. So I'm telling you right now, and
Hmm.
Mike's telling you as well, you deserve it. Take that knee, get better, especially if you're a team sergeant too, or if you're that senior NCO in that organization. Make
Yeah.
time to heal, make time to recover so you can come back and take care of the organization and be that shining example of what it means to be better. But hey, look, guys, I'm still here. I'm still leading from the front. Now I'm better and I'm not carrying all this baggage. And
Yeah.
before
No.
I let you go, Mike, I know you got I got another meeting to jump to. What are some of the ways that we can get in touch with Operation Healing Forces if we want to take advantage of these great programs?
So absolutely, I tell you to certainly go to the website, right? Super simple, operationhealingforces.org. And that's the starting point. And for guys who are in or veterans of the community, put yourself on our list, man. There's a list up there that'll tell you for retreats, and just add your name. And what our guys do is the retreat team will start vetting and checking and stacking and racking the guys, and we'll do it by tiers of priority. Because we want to make sure, to your point, that those people that we know that are facing real challenges, that have perhaps been recently injured or having something going on, or really like chain of command referrals, like we get those guys in first, right? Because we've identified
Yeah.
the challenge, and we're starting to work that issue. And then we just start working the way through the list. So I would say be patient, because it took, I mean, like I said, I think I got added to the list because I got a medical device through immediate needs. I got one of those Katsu blood flow restriction
Oh,
devices
nice. Yeah.
after my surgery to try to, fix all my issues,
Yeah.
which are great. It's a great device. And that's how I think I got added to the pool of people. And then so I got randomly emailed like a year later. And
Yeah.
so don't be surprised if they don't reach out to you immediately. But at the same time, if you find yourself in dire need, the immediate needs program is also on there as well. So if you have something you need funding for, somebody who has an issue, then all of our people's information is on there. We call it SOAR, Special Operations Additional Resources. They handle that program. So their points of contact are all on there as well. It's actually it's very succinct website, very easy to navigate. So that's probably the best. And then of course, for me, if you can't reach anybody else, super simple, mike.stone at ophf.org, right? Operationhealingforces.org. So yeah, email me and I'll get you whatever you need for the people that you need to talk to. And if we don't, like I said, we work in concert with other nonprofits that are all around SOCOM. So if it's something that we can't do, we know who can.
Nice.
And then also with Care Coalition, that was the last plug I was going to make. For the cats who are in right now, and the guys who are even have gotten out that still have contact to the Warrior Care team, Warrior Care program, talk to your RCCs, your regional care coordinators, right? Those guys are the ones that have the pulse on all of these things. So if you have a challenge, or you're trying to do a new treatment, or you're looking for a therapy, or you need a device, start there,
Yeah.
because they know then through the Care Coalition to reach out to these nonprofits, and they'll know who to talk to. So they're your best kind of Rosetta Stone for direction and guidance on how do I find this? Because you said it, man, there's a ton of nonprofit benevolence just out there wanting to do good stuff for our great operators, and you just got to tap into it. So happy to be part of what Operation Healing Forces does, and just to focus on what I care about is couples making sure people remember, yeah, this is why we are a couple. This is what
Yeah.
makes my base to turn me into the best person I can be apart from my family. And then the immediate needs program is just amazing. So 24 to 48 hours, we're sending money to people that, in fact, I'll tell you an anecdote from Soft Week. So Soft Week was last week, right?
Yep.
Crazy convention, half reunion. It's a mix.
Yeah.
We had one of our immediate needs guys who had just been assisted. His wife was diagnosed with cancer. They were
Oh,
on the
man.
coast of North Carolina. They needed to get to Raleigh for the treatment to see the expert, the specialist that they had to have. And of course, that's a huge burden right away. It's
Yep.
like I gotta travel, I gotta lodging, I gotta do all this stuff, and we were able to help this guy out, and he was emotionally moved, right? You could tell, right? Because you want to pull an operator's heartstrings. Talk about his family, right? Talk about
Yep.
his kids. Talk about his significant other. Yes, we're going to respond, and so he was, emotionally just deeply grateful, and that's what motivates us, right? For us, it's like, geez, we are done today. We're not talking to anybody else because like we cannot top that. Like that is the
Yeah.
best. We had a need, we felt the need, and this guy was just well off because of it, and that's why we do what we do. I mean, our tagline is we create bonds that cure. And that's what we're interested in, long-term positive benefit for our special operations community.
Man, yeah, that's the best place to end it, man. Thank you so much for being here and for doing what you do. Again, Operation Healing Forces. If you're still active duty, if you're out and you're part of the community, part of the family, you're not on your own. Reach out today. You deserve it. If you're going through a crisis, if you're going through something that is a 5-alarm fire, reach out for help. We can't help you. We can't put you in resources unless you reach out. If you're too scared, too vulnerable, and you just don't want to do it yourself, reach out to Security Hub Podcast, sechoppodcast@gmail.com. We will be on the phone and we will do it with you. In fact, we've done it over Zoom. It's that simple because you're not alone. Like we always say, we get through this together. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a testament what it means to be fully thriving and not just surviving. And to all of you guys listening out there, thank you so much for following and thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.
Thanks, Denny.
Take care, brother.